Russell Wilson got benched for that.
It's nuts. He has maybe one of the best games of his career, and then one of the worst games and gets benched.
I want to talk about this. I feel like we're gonna talk about it, so like might as well. It's
We're
a
here
perfect
right
transition.
now.
Hold on, just quick
I
question.
just really want to say it super quickly. He was never given a chance. Because after
Lance?
no, him too.
Russell Wilson.
Russell Wilson, after going for almost 500 yards against the Cowboys, there was rumblings that Jackson Dart could potentially start very soon. After Russ just had one of the best games of his career, why are we talking about him potentially getting benched? I understand. Shane and Dable's jobs are on the line this year if they don't produce something. This move was going to happen. But after he has that game, why are there any type of report that they're potentially going to bench him? To me, that kind of made no sense. But it also kind of goes hand in hand with what happens with every situation here with the New York Giants, because the New York Giants have just been a pot of misery for God knows how long. And even that 2022 season where they made the playoffs and Daniel Jones, the 18 passing touchdowns, career year.
No flaws.
It was 15.
You see what it was 18 passing.
He looks like one of the best quarterbacks.
He had 22
in football. I was
total.
right.
It was 15 passing touchdowns.
Maybe
2022.
you're
Daniel's
right.
having flaws. He looks like one of the best quarterbacks in football.
But Joel, so perfectly said, because Saquon leaves, he has one of the best seasons we've ever seen from a running back. Now Daniel Jones leaves.
He's
The
fucking
Colts are
laying up.
3-0, and he looks like one of the best quarterback stories this season.
Yeah.
You go and you take it even further than that. You have a generational talent in Odell Beckham Jr., and even still with that, there was nothing that you could go ahead and
Xavier
produce
McKinney
with
last
that.
year was
It's
awesome,
just
too.
something that's going on with the New York Giants. You leave that team, you leave that situation, you find more success after. Because even Odell went to the Rams, and it's tragic that he got hurt, he looked like he was on his way to Super Bowl MVP. It's just something about the New York Giants right now that is just a pot of misery. And I hope, I pray that it is a different time for Jackson Dart. I hope he comes in, bless you, he comes in and he's the answer for the Giants. And Dable and Shane look like geniuses. But also, I didn't even mention Xavier McKinney, who goes and leaves, and for the first 10 weeks last season, we're talking about him being a DPOY candidate. Everything about the Giants in the last 10 years, it seems, has just gone wrong because people criticize you criticize Daniel Jones at pick 6 at the time. You criticize Saquon Barkley, who's one of the best running back prospects that we've seen in decades, at pick number 2 because, but there's Josh Allen, there's Lamar It's your franchise who just makes poor decisions, who refuse to put an offensive line in front of their franchise quarterback in Eli and Daniel Jones. Now, Daniel Jones goes to a pretty solid foundation in Indianapolis, and now he's playing good football. He didn't ask you for the world. He didn't. Give me the bare minimum, and I can make you a playoff team. I could be a part of a playoff team. The Giants, it just makes me so angry, the constant bad moves that they make. And maybe this is a good move, but why is Jackson starting a singular game this season is beyond me, because you're putting him in a position to fail. And if he's great, I'll happily watch and be wrong about what I'm saying. But it is malpractice to go ahead and rush this kid into there when he has no business playing on a Giants team that we already know is going to be bad because the schedule is terrible and the offense is just a mess right now.
I feel like absolving Daniel Jones from blame is rich. He was terrible the last 2 seasons.
The situation, on top of him being bad, was bad.
We saw Tyra come in and play objectively way better than him.
I'm not going to disagree.
So,
he was lost mentally. Daniel Jones was out of it.
He needed a restart.
So that's why it's like, and the Xavier McKinney thing, I mean, they let him go because they had to pay Daniel Jones. They let Saquon Barkley go because they were paying Daniel Jones. You know, like a lot of those blue chip players.
It's also on the Giants because you should have picked up his 5th year. You not picking up DJ's 5th year led you to losing Saquon, led you to losing Xavier McKinney. And what do you do anyways with that $33 million? Go step back 3, sign Darius Slayton, who's a captain for the team. He means a lot to Giants fans, I'm sure. He's average wide receiver.
But if Daniel Jones is playing as good as he was
Saquon
playing now with the Giants, they wouldn't let him go, and he would have been worth the contract. You know, right now, Daniel Jones is playing with house money. It's a great situation. 100%. It's a great play caller. No expectations, in the middle of nowhere, and he's not getting paid nothing. He doesn't have any real expectations on him. With the Giants, I do think a lot of things are their fault. I think they haven't drafted well. I think their offensive line is still a mess. And Russell Wilson, he was awesome week 2, but looking at that Cowboys defense, I think everybody's going to be awesome against them
Probably
this year.
Caleb is OD.
Week
Caleb
1
was
and week
wilding on
3,
them.
the Giants netted one of the worst offenses in those given weeks against the Commanders, against the Chiefs in week 3. He has the most throwaways in football. He's been one of the worst deep ball throwers in the NFL. He's averaging 2.2 yards per attempt on throws, 20 plus yards down the field. 2.2 yards per attempt. He's just chucking. Against the Chiefs, how many ill-advised throws did he throw down the field that got
lot.
intercepted?
A lot.
I counted 2 that he got
And
intercepted
a couple
on
drops.
because, he just decided to throw it into coverage. Jackson Dart, I think, at least gives them 2 things that Russell Wilson doesn't. I think he gives them a legit RPO game, which will take pressure off of him because he just has to make one read and throw it. Because right now, what he struggles with is reading the field. He was a one-read quarterback at Ole Miss. And number 2 is athleticism, his ability to scramble. Russell Wilson, his athleticism has been even more zapped than it was before. He cannot evade pressure. He cannot evade sacks. He just looks really old. And Jackson Dart can add that element. The question for me is this really where you wanted to play him? Because they play the Chargers, then they play the Eagles,
Khalil Mack not playing.
then they play the Saints, then they play the Eagles, then they play the Broncos. But then I'm looking at the Giants' schedule and I say there's no
good game.
place to start
there's
him.
no
No,
good
they
game.
play the Saints the week after the Chargers. I probably would have waited one more week, but
Yeah, later in the
Fuck
season,
it, man.
they're going to
Throw 'em
play
in
the
there.
Niners, they play the Packers, they play the Lions. The
Schedule's brutal.
Commanders'
It's brutal.
defense has looked good. They play a really tough stretch of teams. So I think maybe they should have waited. Maybe it would have been better for Jackson Dart's long-term development. Maybe he's not the most ready now. But I think Brian Dable is in job-saving mode, so he needs to rush a decision. He doesn't have the luxury of waiting a year because he might not be there. So he's doing this to save his job, and that is an argument for organizational incompetence to where they're putting a player in there when he's not ready because a coach has to save their job. But if the organization was better ran, then maybe he doesn't feel that type of pressure.
For sure.
But number 2, it's also the fact that if Jackson Dart is good, he's going to be good, whether you play him now or a year from now.
Yep.
And this is his opportunity to show you what he has. Because if you wait a year and next year you play him and then he doesn't look good, you just wasted a year. So this is a gauntlet stretch of defenses. And I think that going up against Jesse Minter, his first start, is
Tough
absolutely
look.
brutal. It's brutal. It could get really ugly. That's how good I feel about the Chargers defense. But if he is that guy and he's promising, it's going to be a good sign for the Giants that he's playing well against these level of defenses. But overall, I don't think he's ready. I don't think he's ready.
I think if you're not ready now, when are you going to be ready? You mentioned the
Cam
schedule.
Ward doesn't look ready. You're just forwarding him out there because you have literally no other
But
choice.
I'm a big believer in throw your guy out there and see what you have. And I especially,
Respect that.
I feel like you mentioned, the Giants' schedule is disgusting. I don't even know how they ended up getting this schedule. It's pretty brutal, but
It really makes no
it's
sense.
actually fucked up that they did this to them. But Russell Wilson wasn't good. He wasn't playing good. I think the Chiefs game was really, really bad for him. Just the bad decision making, the poor placement on the ball. Him just sometimes was like, fuck it, neighbors down there somewhere, or even throwing he threw a deep ball
To Wandell.
to Wandell, and I was like, there was no way Wandell was
Threw
getting
the
that.
ball
Like,
away on 4th down.
yeah, and Russ, he couldn't break away. Like Russ was tweaking, and I think that just showed that he's old. He's past his prime. He's even past the average part of his prime. And I think you have to go throw in Jackson Dart. You got to see what you got. I mean, I wouldn't have hated them throwing Jameis Winston in to see, but at this point, you're sitting there like, dude, we drafted this guy. We have to figure out who he's gonna be. Let's see what he can do now. Let's not wait a whole year, because if you wait a whole year and then he's asked in, you could have figured this out now. So better to throw him in, see what he could do now against these top level defenses. There's no point in waiting. This Giants situation doesn't feel like it's gonna get any better anyways. So, like you mentioned, you just went on a whole tangent about them. They've been on, honest to God,
Cold streak.
terrible management.
Bad run.
for a
I
while.
mean, them and the Jets are the 2 worst teams in football over the last decade, record-wise.
Yeah,
They're due.
I think the Jets are
the Jersey teams.
worse. I think they're just a couple wins. They have a couple wins less than them. But
Yeah, I think
They're 2 of the worst.
It's really just about trying to save face and save your job if you're Brian Dable and Joe Shane, right? This is my biggest concern is when they drafted Jackson Dart was he's going to play too soon. And I don't know if we knew the schedule when he got drafted. I can't remember. But once the schedule came out, you're like, holy shit, man. Like this team, even if they had good quarterback play, it's probably not going to win more than like 5 or 6 games, let alone either bad quarterback play in Russell Wilson or rookie quarterback play in Jackson Dart. I will say that the positive things for the Giants. Andrew Thomas came back last week.
Thank God.
He only played like 20 or 30 snaps, but he's going to get ramped up.
Love
so you'll have, when healthy, an elite left tackle. Cam Scatterbo looked like looked elite yesterday. Looked elite Sunday night. He looked fantastic. I mean, as a pass catcher, running through the tackles, he had some serious juice, some serious pop. And of course, you have Malik Neighbors, who's one of the best receivers in football. So you have a core that, I mean, obviously Scatterbo, it's been 1 game and Jackson Dart hasn't played, but like the hypothetical core that can be somewhat decent. It's
You
just
named 2 players.
My brother, that is amazing.
I know. Listen, Malik
Name the
Neighbors.
core.
Malik's a savage.
Andrew
gets double
Thomas.
teamed.
Andrew
It's
Thomas,
hard.
God willing, he's on that football field. You know how I feel about
Cam
him.
looked fucking awesome. We're gonna sit here and act like he looked anything less than awesome.
You need more.
It's 1 game. I know. I'm getting
need
ahead of
more. You
myself.
need more.
But I'm just trying because it should
selling-
be
I
negative
get
for the
it.
Giants.
I get it.
But I think if you're a Giants fan, that's what you have to be selling yourself on is those 4 players. But
For sure.
right now, Joel mentioned it. Jesse Minter as like your opening day. This is your first defense to go up against. Good luck. I would have waited 1 more week. You play in New Orleans. Obviously a tough place to play, but it's the New Orleans Saints. That's at least a bit of a,
Saving grace.
Exactly. Yeah, like just a stepping stone
Hey,
to
find out
get
if he's
to
a dog
some tough
now.
defenses. But
You
then they
gotta
got
find
Philly week after the Saints. They played them like twice in
You
4
gotta
weeks.
find out if he got that dog in him.
It is tough
Real
because
shit.
with rookies, and I hear you, because you do have to find out what Jackson Dart is. But with rookies, a lot of it's mental, a lot of it's confidence. So you look at the next 6 weeks, it's like, goddamn, 4 of these games are going up against top 10 defenses.
If he don't get the confidence now, he ain't never getting it.
I know, but
You know
you
what
would
I'm
just
saying?
like to have at least a couple of games to try to gain some of that confidence.
They're
And that's the
doing
only
him
thing I would have
dirty.
done differently.
They're doing
Hey,
him
if he
dirty.
goes in and locks in against the Chargers, he walking in like Philly, like